informal, interactive session, get to know each other. First of all, you know that you are one among the top 75, right? That itself is one of the biggest achievements. So a round of applause to each one of you. Congratulations on this huge feat. But the buck doesn't stop here, right? So would anyone want to share their experience on their journey so far? I'm sure all of you have come from different parts of the south of India. Anyone who would want to share your experience so far? Please raise your hand, we'll send a mic to you. Come on, let's make this lively.
Manthan edition 13 from our college. It's been our goal and one of our checklists to be participating in such a huge event. Coming back to the journey, initially we had actually started our company and our working last 2 years, but we wanted that, we were continuously searching for mentorship because our team is such a, what would I say, it's not so experienced team. So we literally were searching for mentors and not exactly investors, mentors who can guide us in different paths. So one major mentoring campaign or the whole group, we were able to find it in Manthan, and we are really glad to be a part of it. Coming back to competition, it was not easy. It was really challenging and it was really exciting. We realized what more we are capable of and what extent we can push ourselves to, and we are really excited for the next upcoming events.
You are from which sector?
I'm from EdTech. We are from EdTech.
EdTech.
Our strength was in the product because we were mainly focusing on it, but as usual, our finance was kind of going sideways. Your mentoring sessions and a couple more mentoring sessions from Sir really helped us. We actually did not have even our cash flows ready. So that is when we realized that cash flow is also necessary because we only had our financial statements. We being commerce students, we know how to prepare balance sheets, and we just had a simple expenses list that we had because we had to pay the bills, that's it. But cash flows and much more things which helped us is actually making a lot of difference right now.
What more do you expect from us? Do you want anything which you think we should give more to you?
So in our business, I basically find that compliances, and to understand what compliances do we need to work in here in India and also go global. Second is that I really want to be associated with Manthan has a huge journey, not only for this edition, because we have a couple more events, or what I say, plan that we had discussed. And I'm also aware that Manthan is open for such opportunities. So that is what I'm thinking for, and continuous mentorship wherein I can get connected to a lot of entrepreneurs.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming forward and sharing your experience. Really glad to hear your inputs. I think we kind of overheard what you wanted. So the lady is here. She'll be taking us through the compliances.
Hello.
That'll be a part of the first session today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else? How many of you are from outside Bangalore? Raise of hands. Straight hands.
How many outside Karnataka?
Great. I think half of them are on the way.
The other half are expected soon.
Anyone else want to come forward?
Yes, that lady at the back.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Hi, I'm
good
Vaishnavi,
morning.
and I am. So I had a idea when I was in the first year of college, which just came out from a very small competition at college, and I became the only team member. So everywhere I went for competitions, people asked me, "Oh, you're the only team member." I'm like, "Yeah." But for the first time, someone asked me at the interview for the Manthan competition, "Are you afraid of having a co-partner or co-founder? Are you scared someone will run away with your idea?" So that was that was a nice question. It's not like I was scared or I am scared. It's just that I didn't find anyone who I could have as my co-founder, because I had these people come up to me and say, "We'll invest in the company, but what are the returns?" That is something not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a person who's not just an investor, who doesn't treat this like a bank or, where I put in money, acha, okay, paisa aa jayega, or I'll get back my money, doesn't matter. I want a guide, I want a mentor, and I think this competition is helping me in that. So, yeah, that is me.
Fantastic. So thank you for treating FKCCI as that invisible partner for you and for everybody else. That's our goal, right? So thank you. Anyone else wants to share your thoughts?
Thank you.
And tomorrow you'll get a
Yeah.
lot of mentors to speak to. So hopefully one of them will be, useful for your journey.
That will be my pleasure.
And another important thing is, apart from mentoring and all other things that this platform offers you, another important thing that we offer is the opportunity to network. For all you know, by the time you get back, you would have met a couple of like-minded students, friends, who will be the prospective co-founders or partners, right? So just keep your mind open.
Definitely.
All the best.
Thank you.
So, and then as Shubhama mentioned, you'll get to meet the mentors tomorrow. So I would like each one of you to make use of them until the end of this competition and going forward. So stay connected with your mentors. They all have a lot of experience, and you definitely, each one of us can learn from it. Thank you for your inputs. Anyone else who could share an insight? All of you have already presented, are in the top 75. All of you are entrepreneurs in that aspect already. So I think you should speak up. This is an opportunity where you can share. Or if there's, yeah. Go ahead, yeah.
ಫಸ್ಟು ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಐಡಿಯಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಆದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಒಬ್ಬರು ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಶಾಕ್ ಆದರು, ಇದು ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೆಂಟರ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋದ್ವಿ, ಅವರು ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಇದು ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಇದು ಇಟ್ಟು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಮಾಡಲು, ಇದು ಇಂಪಾಸಿಬಲ್ಲು, ಆ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಂತು ಕಮೆಂಟ್ಸು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನೇ ನಾವು 2 ಟೈಮ್ಸು ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ರಿವ್ಯೂ ಕೊಟ್ವಿ, ಅದು ಒಪ್ಪಲಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾರು. ಆ್ಯಟ್ 3rd ಟೈಮ್ ರಿವ್ಯೂ ಒಪ್ಪಿದ್ರು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮಂಥನ್ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಆದರೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಎರರ್ಸಿಂದ ಅದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸು ಅದು ಇದು ಅಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡಿಲೇ ಆಯಿತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸು. ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳೋದೊಂದೇ, ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪಾಸಿಬಲ್, ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್.
My journey started in 2019. So as soon as I had done my diploma, and after that I worked for 2 years. So after after working as a technical guy in a manufacturing industry, so I wanted some more challenging things in my life. So I had a very good understanding of technology part. So I started working on an idea from 2018. So later I came to know no, I should pursue my engineering. So in the August 2019 I joined my engineering. So in the second week of engineering I approached my HOD with an idea. So for the first time, his reaction was, "Are you gone mad? Are you mad? Have you lost your mind? You just came a week before and you are coming with an idea or a project which is not relevant to your department. Like I am from a mechanical department, and my idea was in aerospace department. So there is no faculty to guide me. There is no mentorship for me or any, my idea was, so it was a very huge one. It's like they were telling me that it's not going to happen. You just change your idea or come up with another idea that we can work upon. So later I thought, no, I should not change my mind on that. So they are saying it is impossible because we don't have the facility or any guidance. So let's try, and I worked upon the idea for 2 years without any mentorship or any guidance. I searched with YouTube University. So I searched a lot and I read a lot. So after that, my idea came to one good stage. So later, I started teaming up with other departments and started working on my idea. So later, mentorship, because any idea to get into any good stage, we need mentorship. So I was searching for that for 2 years. So at the end of my engineering, I got this opportunity in Manthan. So I think my register number is 467. I think hope you all remember my question. No, okay. Like in previous sessions,
I remember most of the business plans, but I will not sit in the jury. So your nice speech will not help you get any extra points.
It's okay.
Another important topic is the jury. It's all going to be fair. None of the jury knows which team, which number, or which university, or from which location. So all of that is concealed. We are actually backing the idea.
Previous sessions when I asked a question, it's like I asked a question on how to get network with the industry people. So that question was so out of that discussion. So that's why I mentioned my register number there.
Heard from you and the person before is about this impossible thing, right?
Yes.
So keep one thing in mind is that when somebody tells you that it's impossible, it is because they are not capable of doing it.
Exactly.
So that's why they discourage you from doing it. And I'm a fan of YouTube University. 18 years ago, I started my animation company, and somebody came up and said, I have a project worth 60 lakhs. Are you interested? I said, give me 2 days' time. I met my best friend Google, learned whatever I could, and I told him that give me a week's time and we'll start the studio. And it's been 18 years that we've been doing that.
So that's my journey. Thank you.
I am Bhavani from Mysore. So we are from a college which is not so well known. So even the people who live at Mysore don't know whether there's a college like this. There are many colleges which many people know very, quite nicely. So our team members are almost at the age of 18 and 19. So most probably we are the youngest, I guess.
Of course. So
Yeah.
that's where I think each one of you are winners. I mean, even though we have selected 75 teams, that doesn't mean the remaining 400 and odd or 500 odd teams are not worth it. It's just that we had a jury to conduct, we had a set of parameters to follow, and based on that, we have shortlisted 75 teams. I wouldn't say that you are the 75 teams. We could have a unicorn from the remaining 500 teams. So what I would like to say to each one of you is pursue it till you think there is an potential in the idea. As long as you are convinced, like Ankur said, as long as you are convinced, you should not stop. There'll be 100 people, including your own family, friends, discouraging you. Leave an outsider, your own family and friends will discourage you. So I guess if you think there is a potential, pursue it and never give up.
Definitely.
And to your question on the youngest, we had a individual who was 15 years, soon to turn 16, a part of the Manthan competition. So
That's
just
really
for
fine.
information.
Yeah, congratulations to him. For
Age no bar. I mean,
Yeah,
no matter
definitely.
how old or young you are, you should look at entrepreneurship. So the idea is you can work for yourself, and you can even work for another company, but at the same time, don't stop doing this. But the more time you give to your own idea, it will be better. You can get to the market faster.
Yeah,
I want to ask a
definitely.
quick question. You know who Satya Nadella is? Do you know what his college name is?
I don't know.
Do you know Sundar Pichai?
Yeah,
You know his college name?
stand. IIT Khan.
And before that? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which college you come from. It doesn't matter which place you come from. A brilliant idea can come from anywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
That's what I
please
wanted
get that
to
out of your
say.
mind that I come from a college which name you don't know. Do you know, have you heard of Carnegie Mellon? I come from that university, none of you have heard of it. So it doesn't matter, don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
thank
You to probably pursue your entrepreneurial dreams later on in life, maybe after learning in your own stream, supposing you're from agri or whichever, probably you could work in that space for some more time to get more experience, but later on with all this knowledge which you've got, you could come back and start with your pursue with your ideas again. So it won't be, entrepreneur journey is not like, okay, I had an idea today and tomorrow a company will be formed. It is a difficult journey, it's a long journey, but very fruitful journey, right?
So I'm Dhyan, CTO and co-founder of a fintech product. Am I allowed to tell this one, product name?
No,
Yeah, go ahead. There'll be others who are very keen to know what you're doing so that they can copy it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Remember,
So
you're
the
a
product is called.
competition, so still in competition, yeah.
The product name is Invest In, and it's in the MVP stage. We are currently building the product and trying to find PMF. We're not sure whether, and iterating along the way. The main purpose of us coming here is, me with my co-founders, is coming here is we are imbibing knowledge from Manthan. Mainly, we had Aprameya Radhakrishnan sir and many other, like Prashant Prakash sir, give a mentoring session last time. It was very, very beneficial for us in helping us build, because he's also from the tech background, and even we are building in the same background. And also, we hope that with these mentoring sessions and also the network that we are able to achieve by meeting and being in the same place, like people like you all, ma'am and sir, that's how, that's the main purpose of being here and pursue this product forward.
Tomorrow you'll be meeting more mentors,
Yes,
all
ma'am.
from your area. Of,
Yeah,
we will
looking forward
match
for
the
that,
right
ma'am.
person. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you.
Students, I would like to warm welcome our President of FKCCI, Dr. C.A. I.S. Prasad. And because of his initiative, we have spread our wings to across South India. And that's how we have taken Manthan to all of the 5 South Indian states. Thank you, President, for...
Had your breakfast? Had your nice sleep yesterday night? Huh? How can you sleep when there is today is your interaction for Manthan? So next, till your lifetime, you should not sleep more than 6 hours. Okay? I want the answer. Huh? So what you do the 18 hours? What you want to do in 18 hours a day? Huh? Work. Enjoy. Then? Working. What is Manthan all about? What is Manthan all about? We are not actually creating jobs for you, correct? So what you should do now? You should create jobs for others. Thank you.
As all of you are aware, FKCCI has got a legacy of more than 100 years. While the focus initially was to assist existing businessmen, existing entrepreneurs, this event, under the, you call it mastermind, you call it whatever, CA Dr. I.S. Prasad, he wanted to shift the focus slightly to prospective entrepreneurs, prospective businessmen, and that's how Manthan, the 14th edition, took shape. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to each one of you for having made so far. And we all know that success is not a full stop, right? It's a journey, it's a progress, right? So on that note, let me take this opportunity to welcome CA Dr. I.S. Prasad. I request you to kindly take your chair, sir. I also welcome the chairman of Manthan, Abhishek B.A. Kindly come forward. I also would like to take this opportunity to welcome the co-chair, Ankur Basin, and the core committee members. We have Shubha Ganesh, we have Kirtan. I request all of you to kindly come forward, please. We have Rahul Goel and Pranam. Pranam is also the vice chairman of Manthan.
And I would like to also invite Shravan, one of the co-chairmen, who's also going to be moderating the session. Thank you, Shravan.
Friends, as all of you are aware, today we are starting the first day of the 2 days of mentoring sessions. And what is a mentoring session without the speakers? We have the first speaker for today's session. We have Sharda, who is a company secretary. I request Sharda ma'am to kindly come on to the dais and occupy her chair. Friends, coming together is definitely a beginning, right? You all have come together, you have found someone. Sticking together will count for progress, but working together is something that leads you to success. Continuously working, and in this progress of yours, FKCCI wants to handhold you in whatever way possible. Talk about self-awareness, talk about mentorship on various technical and non-technical aspects which are very fundamental for an entrepreneur. So in this journey, which is headed by our president, CA Dr. I.S. Prasad, he has a lot of plans. Let us hear from him what those plans are that are in pipeline for you young minds, 75 young minds. Over to you, President.
All the teams from Andhra Pradesh, when I call, I think they should also be acknowledged by standing wherever you are. Andhra Pradesh, one team. Kerala, one team. Tamil Nadu, 16 teams. Beyond Bangalore, 24 teams. And Bangalore, 33 teams. The most dynamic, the young and versatile chairman, Sri B. Abhishek, the co-chairman Ankur Basin, the vibrant young team, Sri Shavan Gadutur, Sri Kirtan, Rahul Goyal, and Pranam. The today's guest speakers, Sharda Company Secretary, and Adarsh Investment Manager, and the backbone for the entire structuring of the program is again Shubha Ganeshan, and other speakers will join you later. On behalf of FKCCI, as President of FKCCI, Dr. I.S. Prasad, extending warm welcome to each of the young team who are going to make the difference in next 25 years as we celebrate 75th year of independence, the Azad Ki Amrit Mahotsav. Way back 100 years, the recollecting the strong foundation, the strong thinking, what future of India, the two great persons I would like to bring their names, Swami Vivekananda and Anand Arvind Maharshi. The country has been almost like 75 years of independence, but the begin has begun in the year of 1922. That means 100 years back. If those two persons, like Swami Vivekananda, always makes that you want to learn something, you have to unlearn, and you want to contribute for the nation, that the dedication pledged by the young generation, that what exactly happened in 2014, when 2008 Prime Minister of India made a commitment that he want to have 75th year of independence, Azad Ki Amrit Mahotsav, he was not even Prime Minister of India. See a great visionary, in 2008, he called for the team, and he said that, look, India for 75 is not to celebrate 75th year of independence. It is the beginning of marking the next 25 years, Amritkar, where he's been aspiring all the young generation to be a game changer. That is what the FKCCI, under my leadership, with the visionary team, and ably guided by the Prashant Prakash, you should know the chairman of Vision Group of Startup Capital, and again Madan Padaki, he has also been Thai president. B.V. Naidu, he is the chairman of Karnataka Digital Economy Mission. And Bhanumurthy, he is the economic advisor for Prime Minister of India. Today is the Vice Chancellor of Ambedkar School of Economics. And he also been guided by the Rajendra Prasad, the Vice Chancellor of University of Agricultural Science. And added to that, Dr. A.P. Achar from Atal Incubation Center. And the host of 40 to 50 jury members, whose I think already been uploaded in the website. They're all successful entrepreneurs. They have been taken risk, also made investment of more than 2 to 3 lakh crores in the startup capital. We took the opportunity when Prime Minister of India wants the wake-up call, a stand-up India and young India, and vocal for local, and whatnot. And you have seen the courageous decision of the Prime Minister of India, having a decision made, allowing the Indian companies, especially to produce vaccine. Today, we have been living very happily because of the 1% decision, correct? Can I have the claps for the Prime Minister of India? What he has done when the entire COVID pandemic, when the world been isolated from China, we all think it's not possible. Whenever this problem, please students, you should think there's opportunities in the working cloth. What opportunities today? You have seen the complete, without any apps of Chinese, they want to have Atmanirbhar scheme, that everything should be depend, and you have seen in the COVID pandemic, the agriculture sector has been contributed. You have seen the domestic consumption of India. We are vibrant India. What is lagging? The lagging is the mindset of young generation that you've been compromised and you want to become just employee of other companies. Today, the FKCCI, this is the 14th year of edition. First edition, I think, Ankur Basin mother, Raj Basin been started, the journey of Manthan, how to churning the young minds. We are very happy that we have completed almost 13 years. The 14th year is very challenging times. At the same time, because you know that I'm a senior citizen, I can do only little. I have ideas, but the ideas has to implement. So I chosen all the young minds. Can I ask the core team to stand up? So my age is always, their average age is 30 years. So my age is 30 years plus 35 years experience. So take this. The moment we started the journey of Manthan, how to plan, how to create, we also conducted knowledge workshops for enhancing and enrichment of your knowledge, because I know that you're all aspiring students. Abdul Kalam always says that he's passionate about the persons who want to become entrepreneurs and give the job seekers, job givers than job seekers. Prime Minister of India also made a statement that he wants to achieve 5 trillion economy. And you should know, very apt, that the India startup capital is more than 10,000 startups have been very successfully been registered. 99 unicorns in the entire India. We should feel proud because this team is from South India. I think more than 45 unicorns from South India, of which 39 from Bangalore. What we want, this team and myself, among your 75 teams, again, the basis for selecting 75 teams is very tough. I know that even the other participants have been done, but we have to go by the process. The 75 teams been selected in commemorating the 75th year of independence. So the concept right from the day one till the grand finale has been structured well, and the top 5 or 6 teams will going to get 26 lakhs cash prize. I think that is the highest which so far. More than that, the 75 teams will be invited by the 2 major seed funds. One is the Udana of New Hampshire College of Engineering. They have been coming up to 10 crore seed money for the eligible startup. And Atal Incubation Center, they are coming with 2 crores. So what is stored before you? It's investment of 12 crores readily with you. And we have Adarsh here. Today morning he said that he's been managing incubation and investment. I made a request from Adarsh that we'll manage incubation. You please manage the investment of my Manthan team. And you have seen the inaugural session, the best of serial entrepreneurs from Flipkart, Aprima Radhakrishna, Sujit, and our Prashant Prakash, who is the advisor of this team. I'm very confident that my young team is going to nurture you, and my young minds will come with an ideas which probably the Prime Minister of India is going to greet or meet you or send his official greetings to you once the 75 to 25 teams. It's the responsibility of my young team and all the mentors, because today and tomorrow have been structured both the days to understand, to imbibe, and also to create, to motivate and inculcate and also inject the aspiration of youth to become entrepreneurs. This is what the FKCCI wanted to do. And FKCCI been founded by Sir MV Auditorium. It's a journey of 105 years of existence, continuously dedicated by illustrious past persons and the team of 80 members. And we are here to create tomorrow for today itself. I would like to acknowledge the support of all the jury members, all my core team, and again, the students. I know that when you've been studying, you have so many things. But what is one thing which you don't get is an opportunity. The opportunity when knocks at your door, what you should do? You should make it, take advantage, and you know that India is going to be emerging superpower. And you should also know, the first time in the history of independence, we have the Prime Minister of India who is going to be President of G20. What does it mean? All the countries of all over the world will come down to India and create a platform for each one of the young team. So just don't dream something small. You should dream big. Like if you dream, the Himalaya mountains should melt, but not really. But your dream should be so high as you can convert your dream into reality. Don't waste your time when Prime Minister of India working for 18 hours. I don't want the young team to be happy with or compromise. I want this team, 75 teams, to pledge before me and my team that out of 75 teams, we would like to see at least 3 to 5 unicorns minimum. Can you all? No, I'm not able to hear. One more time. You feel proud to be an Indian? You feel proud to be a best young generation in this Prime Minister of India? No, what actually? Not even 30%. We need democracy at least 85%. Only those who've been raised your voice will be selected for next 25 teams. Can you make it? Okay. Because we have been already, today is 9th, we are going to celebrate our independence of 75th year of independence. Before I ask some certain things from you, I extend warm welcome to all my dear and near to my heart, the 75 teams, whom I am confident that when I'm at 75, you'll be taking me in your Benz car and Mercedes. More than that, you're going to create a wealth for the nation, and you're going to take care of your parents, because who made the difference in your life, and you take care of the society who always depends on you for creating this one. As Swami Vivekananda says very clearly, arise, awake, stop not till the goal is reached. I want you to enjoy your life. I want you to enjoy everything what you do. At the same time, you need to have the responsibility towards the nation, towards your parents, towards the society. Then only together, as Shravan Gadutu said, that together we have come together. We have to think together. We have to contribute together for the nation, which has given everything for us last 75 years and continue to give the remaining life of each one of us. I want you to say, when I call upon, you should also raise your voice. And I want this platform, being founded by Sir MV, to have the voice of all the 75 teams 3 times. When I call, you must repeat. One day, one day, one day. Be proud to be an Indian in incredible India. I stand before you as President of FKCCI. I'm today very happy to see all the young minds here. More than you take photograph with us, we would like to take photograph with each one of you, because ultimately you may become the unicorn, or you may become the Minister of External Affairs, or you may become the Prime Minister of India. So have a nice time, great day. Thank you.
Thank you, President, for bringing out the energy in all the young minds present here today. He also spoke about how we have a favorable ecosystem in India for startups to boom, grow, and succeed, right? So, in the very own words of the founder of FKCCI, Sir MV, whom we call as Mokshagundam Vishweshwaraya, he once said, every man who has ever become great owes his success, owes his all to incessant toil. It is your toil, it is your efforts, clubbed with synergies like mentorship, clubbed with various other factors that come together. When you all take that first step is what that matters. So on that note, let me now request the chairman of Manthan, Abhishek B.A., to kindly give us a walkthrough of where we have come now and where we will be going from here.
Before I would start, I would like to invite Lakshmi also on stage. Lakshmi, please come on stage. So Lakshmi is from Thai. They've been helping us with the entire Manthan project, with the mentorship, the jury. They've been helping us. Thai, I would like all of you to also read up about Thai, TIE, and see if you need any support even from that organization. They would be more than happy. They have a lot of charter and associate members also who could help you with your initiatives. Good morning and welcome to Bangalore. Are you all sleepy? Had a good breakfast? Comfortable travel to FKCCI? All the teams traveling from outside, I hope you all are settled at your respective hotels. All comfortable? A warm welcome to all of you. I would first like to thank our visionary president, Dr. C.A.I.S. Prasad. A round of applause for our president. Without his support, constant questioning, constant pushing around, I don't think we would have achieved what we have achieved this year. I really thank President from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, President. I also like to thank him for nominating me as the chairman of Manthan this year, the 14th edition of Manthan, and he gave me the freedom to select the team. And I selected a team who could be commanded on and whom I had trust, faith, and who would ensure the success of Manthan. I would like my core team to stand up once again. I would like to thank each one of them. Without their support, Manthan wouldn't have been as successful as it is today. A round of applause to the entire core team. Yes, sir, you are the leader of the core team, sir. I would like to congratulate the selected 75 teams. I would not like to use the word top because each of the 622 teams are top teams because you have registered, you've taken the first step toward entrepreneurship. So I would like to congratulate the selected 75 teams here. A round of applause to each one of you. Don't stop here. Whether you're in the top 25 or not, please don't stop. Please don't give up. Pursue your idea, fine-tune your idea. You would have hundreds of people tell you what you're doing is wrong, what you're doing is not, you're going down the wrong path because they don't know what you have in mind. Or maybe they are scared or they don't have the potential to do what you could do. So continue to pursue your idea even if you are not in the top 25 or the top 5 teams. So as the president has said, this is a South India level competition where we have students from across South India. And I'm going to be communicating in English for the benefit of all the out-of-state participants. We have planned a 2-day mentoring session. One of the key important differentiators between Manthan and any other business plan competition is this aspect. the mentoring aspect. Many competitions kind of give you the workshops, they kind of take you through it, they do a jury and they evaluate and they give prizes to the top teams. But hardly one or two of these competitions actually do what Manthan is doing today and tomorrow. These 2 days are very important for each one of you. Mentoring is the key differentiator for Manthan and any other business plan competition. I repeat, please make use of these 2 days because this is for your benefit. This is not for us. We are not doing anything for us. We are not getting any brownie points by doing this. This is for you. Make use of this. I think one of them mentioned that nobody actually kind of gave us this platform where we get mentorship. Make use of this. And this is for your benefit. We have mentors from different sectors, different industries, all serial entrepreneurs with a lot of industry experience. Their experience will be more than the age of many of the students here. So make use of this mentorship. Today is the day 1 of mentorship where we'll be having group sessions. So today, the entire day will be sessions out of the auditorium here. All of you will be here itself. We would be having about 5, 6 sessions covering different topics, all related to entrepreneurship, all related to startup, and for the benefit of each of the plans. The topics covered today are not sector specific. They will apply to all the sectors. We would start with legal licensing and procedural requirements required for starting a business. Many of the plans here are in the ideation stage, and a few of them have an MVP or have a prototype. But irrespective of the stage you're in, definitely each of these topics would help you with your idea. Also, tomorrow we would be having the mentoring where we would start with sector-specific group mentoring. So we have about 7 sectors. So the 75 teams, actually we have 7 sectors. One is the agri sector, one is the tech and apps, one is textiles. We have a few plans from energy and environment. We have a few plans from mobility, few health related, a few engineering related, and a few retail and consumer goods related. So we have kind of divided the teams for tomorrow's session based on the sector they belong to. So today would be common to all where it would be sector independent. Tomorrow's section will be more focused where you would be divided into sectors, and each sector, the teams belonging to, say for example, the health sector, all of them will be grouped together, will be given a group mentoring. The first part of the day, the round 1 of the group mentoring would be sector specific, and then each of the teams will split out into breakout rooms where you would have one-on-one or maybe 2 teams with 1 mentor. So it will be a very separate, private, one-on-one sessions where you can make the most of the mentorship. What we have realized with Manthan over the years is when the team has a one-on-one connect with the mentor, they can be more free, more open, they get more time to get their specific questions answered with their plan. So tomorrow's will be the sector-specific one-on-one mentors where they will be guiding you. Whatever doubts you have, whatever questions you have, feel free to ask them. They would do their best to get it answered there, or they would come back to you with an answer, or they would come back to you with whatever requirement that you need. So my request to each of the teams here is, kindly by the start of tomorrow, jot down a list of things, if you have already not, what you would require for the success of your idea. What are the top 5 or 10 things that you would need from the mentor? Please jot that down and keep that ready so that it would help the mentor also understand what is that you are looking at, and he or she with their experience, they would guide you the way forward. Tomorrow's session, after the one-on-one mentoring, we will end up with the different policies that are available both in the state of Karnataka as well as India. So Startup Karnataka and Startup India, we are going to have 2 group sessions. We would end tomorrow with these 2 group sessions, which will help you understand all the policies that are available for startups, for each one of you, which you can utilize going forward. One more key thing that I would want to stress is that we're going to have 2 sessions, one on incubators and the other one on accelerators. One of the topics today is going to be on incubation, and one of the topics tomorrow would be in accelerators. Well, every day is a learning. Even today, I was discussing with my co-chairman, Ankur. I kind of had a argument, not an argument. I actually didn't know the difference between incubators and accelerators. I would like to open a question to each one of the students. How many of you know what an accelerator is?
Incubation means is a place where we get some space with some internet connection and with some facilities, sir.
Okay.
So accelerators means where we get some mentoring, where they pitch up our idea to the financiers, or to get some angel investing, or to get some funding to excel our idea into the product.
There is both the incubators and accelerators can provide you mentorship, can provide you with funding and investments. The difference between an incubator and an accelerator is, at an incubator, they give you the space and everything, yes, but you are in your ideation stage. You still don't have a MVP, a minimum viable product, or you don't have a prototype. So an incubator gives you, handholds you, spends more time with you, because from the idea, you need to get the MVP or the prototype, or a working prototype. So that's where you use the incubator a lot earlier in the phase of your entrepreneurship, or in the idea stage. Whereas an accelerator, you go to an accelerator when you already have an MVP, a minimum viable product, or you already have a prototype. So you already have a proof of concept, you already have a working prototype. But now the challenge is go to the next level. How do you go to the market faster? How do you attract your customers? How do you get more customers? That is what an accelerator is. But both incubation and accelerators provide you with the mentoring, they provide you with investment support. It's just that what stage you are. Even the 75 teams who are presenting today, majority of you are in your ideation stage. Majority of you are still in your ideation stage. Hardly a handful of you actually have a prototype or an MVP. So those students or those teams definitely needs to make use of this the topic on accelerators and use the accelerators. The rest of you have to fine-tune your idea, try to work on your idea to get the MVP or the working prototype. So I would like to thank quite a few people. Already have thanked the core committee. I would like to thank all the sponsors. A big round of applause to all the sponsors. Without the sponsors, we wouldn't have been able to wonderfully conduct, execute, plan the entire program conceptualized by the entire core committee. I would also like to thank Lakshmi and TIE Bangalore. I would like to thank KDEM for their support, and all the jury members and mentors who have helped us with Manthan 2022. Thank you so much. I would like to just end my briefing with one question. How many of you know what Manthan actually means? Raise your hand. How many of you know what Manthan means? Al mic kodi.
Sir, Manthan means getting together.
Getting to?
Sir, getting together.
Getting together, okay. How, what, any other answers?
churning of anything, churning of ideas, churning of
Correct.
people.
Round of applause for her. Correct. Your name?
Pranjul.
Correct. Thanks, Pranjul. Manthan means churning of knowledge. And that's how Manthan was initiated 14 years ago by the co-chair, Ankur's mother, Raj Basin. And quite a few members, including Ankur, has been through the journey of 14 years. And one main thing, I also forgot that you would also be interacting with quite a few of the past winners of Manthan. So you could hear from the past winners who are also successful entrepreneurs today. So we also have a couple of sessions with the interaction with their journey, what they went through, where they are now. So that also we wanted to include as like a motivation to each one of you that it doesn't end here. Quite a few students have taken it to the next level. They've got funding in millions of dollars. So that is where I need each one of you to go there and achieve what our president requested. 5 unicorns. I think out of 75 teams, 5 is a small number, right? At least 5 unicorns. Thank you so much, one and all.
Uh, 25 years of standing in the profession. She runs her own firm under the name SC Sharda and Associates Company Secretaries at Bangalore and serves several corporate clients, including startups and startup incubators. She's been an executive alumni of...
I hear very feeble. There are quite a few from Tamil Nadu. Great. Namaskaram for all the people from Andhra. Malayalam, somebody has to help me. What do they say for Namaskaram? Same, Namaskaram, is it? Yes, Namaste, good morning. I think you have had many times of all the previous speakers who have already welcomed you. I hope you enjoyed your breakfast. Was it sumptuous? I don't hear it. If that is the fuel for your body, I think throughout the day you have enough sessions that will fuel your energy for the mind, for your brain. Of course, you require both the body and the mind. Very glad to be associated here today to share my thoughts. We were all discussing about Manthan and somebody rightly said it means churn. I know all of you are undergoing a journey of churning from the time you started your idea to the stage where you are in, and this journey will continue. I think almost all our lives it will continue. But I'm sure the FKCCI team also has undergone some Manthan. There is a churning, there is introspection which they have undergone, there have been deliberations, and today at the 14th edition, I can really see the wings are spread out, and the way it is expanded to all the 4 states of South India. I really wish that this team under Prasad's leadership, and I have Ankur here, we have Abhishek, we have Shravan, and so many other people, including Shubha. I'm sure you're going to take it across the country and perhaps international also. Let's wish that a few editions from now, we'll have Manthan International. Let's hear it for them, guys. And why not? I'm sure many of you will be, perhaps some of you will be entrepreneurs, some of you may come back here as mentors, or you may be investing, you may be giving a lot of inputs to the other teams. Having said that, let me begin my session today. It is about legal licensing. This field is very, very vast, legal. It's difficult to put in all of that in a capsule in 1 hour. So I'll try my best, keeping in mind that all of you are from different sectors, and some of you are from the commerce background, some of you from BBA, many of you from engineering, many of you from agriculture universities. But we'll try and keep it simple. So it is only going to be the basics of how to start up. See this here, from which movie is this? मेरे पास बंगला है, गाड़ी है, पैसा है, पोजीशन है. तुम्हारे पास क्या है? Louder? Yes, I think you are the privileged lot. This generation, we can proudly say that you all have a startup. If you don't have, at least you are dreaming and you are part of the journey. And there is a beautiful platform like FKCCI, which is providing you this platform to move ahead. A small disclaimer, is it visible? I mean, I feel is it visible? Yeah. Pardon? Anyway, it's a disclaimer that a quick recap, sorry, not a recap, it's an introduction to what topics we'll cover, different types of entities which a startup can have, what are the types of companies which you can think of for starting off your business, a little bit about company incorporation process, we'll not make it very complicated. And finally, a few sector-specific licenses and registrations which Shubha asked me to cover. Let me tell you, I'm not an expert in that because you will have to have mentors from each sector, and I'm sure they are all organized for you over the next 2 days or a few weeks. So we won't be getting into too much of my details. The last part, my colleague here, she's also a company secretary, a young lady, Rajeshwari, who will be taking that part of the session. Before we start off with the specifics, I thought, we should spend some time on some of these questions. It is not a Q&A for you, but actually it's Q&A for all of you as individually, as entrepreneurs, and also as teams which are co-founders. You may either be still finding co-founders or you may already have co-founders. So it is a very good exercise for you to think about this before you start off your formal entrepreneurial journey. How many of you are involved in the business? Because today you have teams, right? This is more of a business plan competition, and many of you may become, actually these projects or these business plan competitions could turn into live business. So it's very important to find out today, how many of you are having team members or co-founders? Is it necessary for every team to have at least 2, or is it even 1 allowed? 4 is the max. Yeah, I see some hand there. How many of you? 4 of them. So it's very important to understand how many of you are involved in the business, because each one of you will be playing different role. All of you need not have the same competencies, same strengths. In fact, you must complement each other. And it really happens when you actually start your business that for a long time you may not be able to find the right kind of partner. But this is an important point from where you start your journey. How many are full-time and how many are part-time? This is a little premature for the student community that you belong to right now. But trust me, when you start your business, when you start your entrepreneurial journey, it's very important to find out how many are full-time and part-time. Because what is the kind of commitment that you will be giving to the business? You can't say, I've got a beautiful job in some IT company or any other health tech or ed tech, I have a job there, but I still want to do entrepreneurship. I'm not saying it is wrong, but when you want to seriously start your business, you want to be successful, put your full time into that. You can moonlight, you can be part-time when you are students, but when you start full-time, make sure that you spend that required time. And why is it necessary? Some of you will be in jobs and you will say, I'll just help you for some part of the business, maybe marketing, maybe networking, or somebody will help you only with the product development because you are not good at that. So it is important to find out how many are willing to put that full-time and how many are only willing to spare part of the time. And that has a relevance to the next questions. If you are starting your journey after you are employed somewhere, some of you may take up jobs, right, after this. Not all of you may get into the entrepreneurial journey. If you already have an employment contract and you want to start something on your own, when you want to become co-founders, please check your employment contract. There could be some restrictions. If you are given ESOP shares, for example, you already have some incentives which are given in the form of shares. They have a lock-in, then you may not be able to start off something. Even, similar or different, you may not be allowed to start. You may be allowed to hold shares, but you may not be allowed to have directorship. So it is important, maybe a slightly ahead, but I'm just pointing towards these important aspects. Who will step in at what time? This is relevant because not all of the co-founders will, there is one person who will have the idea, who will have the concept, who will develop that. Later on, slowly the team starts building. So it depends on what kind of shareholding, in the sense what kind of stake you will have, how much shares you will give. Will you have 99% and give only 1% to your co-founder? Will you have 60-40? Will you have 30-30 and 40? So these are very important. There is no hard and fast rule. There is no formula. It is all coming through your own negotiation and respect what each other brings into the table. Not only the money, but also the sweat that you bring in. That is the kind of inputs which you bring in, which you bring the competence. It's very important. This will guide you. And so who will step in at what time is very important. How much are you willing to sacrifice in terms of remuneration? This again is linked to whether you are full-time or part-time. Some of you may really have to support your family, support yourself, and you may not be able to work free of cost. But initially, that's what most entrepreneurs do, co-founders. You won't be able to take your salary. So some of your co-founders will say, I will continue the job, but I will continue to take a salary there, but here I will work free. Those of you who are working full-time can provide for full-time salaries. It may not be market salary, but it can be something lower. So these are very important for you all when you start together to discuss. How much are you able to invest? This is your financial investment capability. It again varies. Till the funders come in, it will be yourself, your friends and family, which is called the F&F round, which will help you. What is the business model? Is it traditional? Is it startup? Because there is a difference in how startups work than other traditional business models. But today, I think all of you sitting here will mostly be looking at startups, where you have the intellect, you have the knowledge, you have the idea, and there are people out there in the world to help you grow. Any IP involved? IP means intellectual property. Many of you will be developing some software, some product. So not all, but some of them will be entitled to IP registration, which is the value which you will be creating. So it is very important to find out whether this qualifies to take an IP registration. What is your monthly burn? When we say burn, I think you have had sessions on financial aspects. What is the expenditure you will be having? Every month, how much money you will have to spend? What is your cash flow? These are all very important. How soon you will be able to invoice? What is the meaning of invoice? Your product is ready, you have moved beyond your all these initial stages, and then you have gone commercial, it's accepted in the market, you are able to raise an invoice, sell, and receive money. What happens when you start getting money into the business? You are dependent on external financing will reduce. Your confidence levels will improve. So this is very important for you to plan your working capital. What is your fund requirement? Like I said, it starts from you, but you're all students, so you may win some prizes here. Your friends may help, family may help, and then you have a whole lot of investor community which is going to help you. Yeah, that's it. I will leave the slide with FKCCI, and I'm willing to share it with all of you. Though many of them may not be relevant today as a business plan contest, but when you start off, make sure that you answer all of this. And my strong recommendation, though it is not mandatory, is to have a founders agreement. It may be 2 or 3 or 4 people get together, form an agreement. This will give you a framework. When you are in doubt of how to handle things, then you will go back and see what did we decide when we started, what was our objective, who will be playing what role. And if there is some kind of a conflict, what is the way out? That's what it helps you to reduce any kind of friction, disputes, which are one of the important reasons many of the startups fail, especially with youngsters. Your maturity levels are different. I wouldn't say it is less, but it is different when you start off the business. And this document will help you a lot. And if you have a legal session on founders agreement, it will be good. If FKCCI is planning that, it's a very useful session, I would say. Now we are talking about entities. So we are talking about what's a good fit. All of you today, you don't have, anybody has a company or a LLP here? Anybody registered legally? Yes, I'm very happy to see 3, 4, 5 hands. What kind of entity do you have? Okay, it's a normal partnership. What about you? Okay, when did you start that? 22. Okay, what, that side? Great. I'm very happy that students have the courage to already start off private limited company. Give them a round of applause. It's not easy. It's easy to start, but it is not easy to, especially from the compliance angle. There are a lot of obligations, especially when you start off. So it needs that courage. It needs that, leap of faith, so to say. But there's also somebody who was talking about partnerships firm. Is it necessary for everybody to just jump into a private limited company? I don't think so. In my experience, I normally push entrepreneurs to get more and more and more clarity about their business, about their product, about their market, and the ways to finance themselves. And then actually when they want to hit the market, then say, yes, I'm ready, and go with an entity. So that is not one of the first things you should do, but it is good to be aware. And this slide is all about that. Finding a good fit. What are the different kinds of fits that you have? These are the types of entities. So you have a single person, you can still continue business. For example, I am a sole proprietor. I am practicing as a professional. I can have, if I have partners, I can have a partnership firm, I can have a limited liability, but I am a sole proprietor, and that is perfectly fine for me. So you can be a proprietorship concern if you are alone, or you can also be an OPC. OPC means one-person company. Even as a single person, you can have a registered private limited company. Here, we have more than one. So we have a partnership firm, like the lady here said. You also have LLP, which stands for Limited Liability Partnership. And of course, the most opted for option is private limited company. There are public limited companies. I'm not getting into all of that because it's not relevant for you. So these are all the options that you have. Please, while you can go to YouTube University, while you can go to Google and get information, why should you be listening to this? You will get all of this. But please, please take professional advice before you actually begin. Don't just begin because there is some website which tells you that in 10,000 I'll get you a private limited company. Don't go by the rates, but go and seek professional advice. It could be a chartered accountant, company secretary, lawyer, anyone, or anyone who has already started a company. Without professional advice, I would not ask you to start. It's very important. So I'll quickly go through the different forms. I'm just explaining what are the merits and demerits so that it helps you to understand and perhaps think through later. We are talking about sole proprietorship. What is this? It's a simple form. As I told you, it is one person. Anytime you can start. You don't require any formal registrations except a few. You have the freedom. You are the boss of your business. You have the freedom to take decisions. It's flexible. The compliances are minimal here, I would say. There is a high secrecy. You can maintain confidentiality because you are not sharing it with any other co-founder. It's easy to close. So when you want to start a proprietorship, what is it? Nothing. Maybe you would require a name of a business. You have your PAN number. You can have your visiting card. Just open a bank account, a current account where all your business income will come in. You already have a savings account, but you can have a current account. Just begin. There are a few other registrations as the business grows that we will deal with it later, but it is very easy to start. What are the demerits? Unlimited liability. When I mean liability, what do I mean? You are the owner of the business. You are the owner of the assets. If something goes wrong with the business, if somebody is unpaid, they can sue you in your personal capacity. So you are liable for all the business. You are liable for the debts. You are liable for any loans that you have taken. You are liable to your customers. For everyone, you are liable. You may have employees, but you are the owner of the business. That is unlimited. Limited financial resources. Obviously, you are the only one. At best, what can you do? You can ask your family to give you a loan. See, formal and serious investors will not prefer proprietorship, because there is no concept of getting a stake here. There is no concept of selling that out. So this is in a very initial stage is what you can look out, especially when you are in the ideation stage. Now it has a limited life, obviously, because if you decide to stop or God forbid something happens to you, then the business has to close down because somebody else has to take, then it will be that person's business. More importantly, I heard that there are going to be sessions on Startup India. There's a whole lot of benefits that you get from registering on Startup India, but there are only certain type of entities which are eligible, and proprietary concern is not eligible. If you want to avail Startup India registration by registering on DPIIT website, you will not be eligible. So any questions here? If there are none, I'll move on to partnership. This is this. Pardon? That's what I'm saying. Because there is no concept of having one more person. There's no legal entity as such. You are the owner of your business. So normally what happens, at best, your friends or your family who trusts you may give you a loan. Or they may invest in some project and you may get a share in the profits for that project. But there is no concept of somebody investing in you. So it is not attractive. But for some kind of businesses, if there's a service business and initially you just want to test waters, so to say, it's good.
Hello ma'am, this is Devi here. I just got one doubt that you said if that particular person is not there, then nominee has to get registered under that act?
No, in a proprietary concern, that possibility is also not there. In OPC, it is there.
Okay ma'am.
I'll come to that.
Okay ma'am, thank you.
Yeah, so there are limitations in running it for too long and for scaling up. So we move on to partnership. Partnership, at least, when you say a partner, you need to have 2 people at least in the business, minimum. Now, what are the merits in partnership? It is easy to form. Minimum 2, maximum you can go up to 50. Now, how long did you take to start the partnership? Any idea to complete these registrations? Yeah, but you had to register a partnership deed, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that is a basic document. It is a partnership deed. Deed means what? It's an agreement. When there are more than one person, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of you have to come together and decide how you will run the business, who will put in how much capital, how will you share the profits, what business will the partnership do, what happens if one of the partner wants to go away. He can resign and move away from this business, or you want to get in a new partner. That's called admission of a partner. How will you share the profits? All this, it has to be in a written document. Simple, it is simple, but again, please take professional advice. Though there are templates available, I normally advise you to go and take specific professional advice and see if you want to bring in some other specific decisions that you want to take in the agreement. And if there are immovable property involved, suppose there's a land or a building which is involved in that, then you will have to also compulsorily register it. Otherwise, just getting it on a stamp paper is good enough to start your business. Now, this is eligible for DPIIT registration as a startup. Now, more capital contribution, more the people, more possibility of getting capital, right? And it need not be in equal percentage. It can be in whatever measure that you agree. Now, compliances are not as much as other forms which we'll be getting into. But let me clarify, when I say compliances, I am looking at some basic ones. But if you're looking at tax compliances, for income tax return you have to file, you have to pay GST, there are some labor compliances, they are common to all forms of business. Now, how will you remunerate yourself? You can take salary. The partner, you have started the business, you are the partner, but you can draw salary from the partnership. At the end of the year, you can also take loan, you can take drawings. You can also take profits. Otherwise, all of you can decide they will put back the money into the business so that flowing back the money, it will continue to accrue there. You will have reserves and you can start expanding. These are all decisions that you can take. How will you close? Closure is equally simple. You just have to have a dissolution deed. That's all. Of course, you will have to pay off the creditors. You will have to settle any other dues with employees, with tax authorities, with labor department, all of them. And if you want to close the business, you can close it. It's not very, very time consuming. So traditionally, hundreds and thousands of businesses in India, very large ones also, including manufacturing, have been run as partnership firms. What are the demerits? Similar to proprietor, there is no separate legal entity. If it is ABC partnership firm, it is just the 3 partners are there. There is no difference between the owners, the partners, and the business as such. Unlimited liability, because there is no difference between the entity and the owners of the business. If anything goes wrong, if there is a claim on the business, personally all of you will become liable. So this is a risk area which you have to remember. Now, lack of continuity. If the partners die, unless you admit new partners, the partnership will also die. So these are some of the demerits. Third-party funding is difficult here. You can get bank loans, you can get many other institutional loans. Sometimes families will also give you a loan. But beyond that, if you want to spread your wings, there are limitations here. There is a conflict of interest. You are the owner, you are the managing partner, you are the management, everything. So there could be conflicts. So there is more room for this kind of a risk. Possibility of misuse of funds, again, because there is lack of transparency and then lack of regulation under the law. And when I say no transparency, no public data, other than your income tax returns, of course, it's not public. There is no other authority which asks you to file something. So there is no transparency. If you want to go and do business with a partnership firm, or you want to invest, or you want to join a partnership firm as an employee, or you want to join as another partner, unless they disclose public domain, you will not get much information. So this also works sometimes against a partnership firm, especially if you want to be empaneled as a vendor. There are multinational companies which are very, very clear saying, unless you have a registered entity, we don't even come and empanel, we will not give you business. So these are some of the merits and demerits. Any questions on partnership firm? Pardon? That is all you have to discuss. How long will you be there in the business? If you are there for 2 years, what is the kind of percentage you will be able to enjoy? If it is 3 years, what is it? See, what happens together, you would have grown the business, right? At that point in time, you will have to value the business. There are valuation rules, but they are not as defined in a partnership firm as in a company. So you will have to discuss with your advisor among yourselves and put out those exit gates.
Directly get into the firm, isn't it?
So when you're talking of the word shares, it's good that you brought up. Partnership is not an attractive form for investors.
Okay.
They will ask you to either shut down this and start a private limited company and transfer all this business, or they'll say convert this into a private limited company where there is more disclosure and we are able to get a percentage in that as shares.
If suppose they're okay with the partnership firms, then they will be directly involving in the main deed.
Yes, so what happens is you have to admit them as a partner. See,
Again,
they
as
may
a
not be a business, they may not be running the business, but they'll be financial partners because they are investors, right? Yeah, so you will have to admit them formally and you will have to redefine your percentage of profit share, capital, everything. And they could have some rights. In company, you have rights which says though they are investors, for certain decisions without taking their consent, you can't go ahead. Similarly, in partnership also, you can drop those things.
Can you please clear me regarding the shares? Like profit shares different or directly company shares? I did not understand.
No, when we talk of share, company share is not applicable to partnership at all because it's not a company. Only concept in a partnership firm is capital. That is the money you invest. Then you have a profit or loss. If you have a profit, you will take 20%, he may take 30%. Loss also could be in a similar percentage. This is what will be defined. In company, it is different. Okay, investors also, they know this. If they want to still invest, they may be investing more as financial partners and at the end of the year, they may be looking at profit or they may be willing to stay invested here. But very, very rare that you have investors willing to become partners in an unregistered partnership firm. But nonetheless, it is one form of business and there are a lot of businesses here.
Thank you.
So this is about partnership firm. I move to limited liability partnership. This is again, we are using the word partnership, but if you see the prefixes, it is limited liability partnership because in a normal partnership firm, that was unlimited liability. Here, the feature is, it is limited. I think you may not be able to see this, but I can read out separate legal entity. So this is a separate legal entity. It is a hybrid between a company and a partnership. Whatever demerits are there in a partnership firm, these are not there here. And whatever benefits are there in a company, that have been brought up in this entity form. Now registration is there. There is a partnership deed which you have to register, and it has to be registered with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, that is MCA. So everything is now electronic. You can just go to mca.gov.in, that is the website. You will get the procedure, how to start a LLP, how to close a LLP, how to start a private limited company, how to close it. Everything is available there. It's all public domain. Now here we were talking about limited liability, and with the partner in the previous form, the partnership, if the partners don't continue, the partnership firm itself will die. But here, there's a concept of perpetual succession. That means irrespective of who are the partners, new partners can keep coming in. The entity is there. For example, I just take FKCCI. It is not a partnership firm. It is a type called Section 8 company. Irrespective of who the president is, irrespective of who the directors are, the company will continue. It is more than 100 years that it is continuing. Why? Because they have chosen a different type of entity. Similarly, irrespective of who the business owners are, the limited liability partner can continue. I've talked to you about unlimited liability. Here, it is limited to the extent of the capital that you have committed. If there are any claims on this partnership firm, limited liability partnership, what happens is the creditors or the government cannot claim more than what you have committed as a capital. So in that sense, the risk is a little less here. So with risk, some other compliances also will increase. Business continuity, I have already explained. Compliances are there. They are more than proprietorship and partnership, but relatively less than a private limited company. It is eligible for DPIIT registration. At any point in time, you want to convert this LLP into a private limited company. It is possible. There are rules, there are regulations, there are documents to be filled. Please take professional advice at what point in time. There are tax considerations, there are business considerations, but you can always convert. Many of you may be wanting to start small and have less compliances so that you can limit your costs. You can start as a LLP and later on convert into a private limited company. Now, is foreign investment permitted? Somebody was talking about can we take the business abroad? I am not covering that. That's called ODI, that is overseas direct investment. But what comes into the country is FDI, that is foreign direct investment. Is that possible in LLP? Yes, it is possible. Why should small businesses think about this? Some of your friends or relatives could be staying abroad. They are NRIs. They want to help you. They believe in your business. So they can put in money. That will be treated as foreign investment coming into LLP. That is possible, but there are rules and regulations. Reserve Bank expects that a certain kind of reporting has to be done. There is a chance for better governance structure vis-a-vis partnership firm because there is an act, there is a legislation which is governing this. There are rules and regulations. You have to go according to that. What are the demerits? Compliances are growing. The government also is seeing that many of these LLPs are being misused. There are always crooked minds, ingenious minds who will always try to, any new thing which comes, people can misuse. So since the misuse of this form is also increasing, government is increasing the number of compliances which an LLP has to take care. Here, let me clarify again, there is no concept of shares. There is only a concept of capital contribution. How much capital you can put in, what is the profit, what is the loss. Okay? It is still not attractive. This is a very, very, very important factor. I am sure this, you can raise this question with the VCs, with the PEs and other investors who are going to come in your sessions, why they don't want to do it, but they will not be touching an LLP normally. Because the rules relating to valuation, the rules relating to shares, all these concepts do not exist here and it doesn't give them the comfort. Scaling up because of this reason and a few others is difficult. Now what about penalty and adjudication? When I say penalty, if you are registered with Ministry of Corporate Affairs, if you don't do certain things, if you don't file your returns, 2 times in a year you have to file your returns, you have to file your balance sheet, you may have to get, after a certain threshold, you may have to get audited. Then partners will have to file certain forms, certain declarations. If you don't do that, you are liable for penalty. Penalty means you will have to, it's a kind of fine, right? You will have to pay as the partner. The LLP also has to pay. So government is getting very stringent on all of this. You will have to be aware when you start a business, it's not just about your marketing, about your product, about hiring people, about your digital marketing. The legal part also you have to be aware, and you have to seek professional advice. Closure is time consuming. In my experience, it's not easy, though we talk of ease of doing business. Starting up is okay, but closure, you will have to show that at least for a year or two, you are not doing any business, no operations at all. Only then you can formally close this. So these are some of the things that you need to keep in mind. Today, the LLP portal is also not up to the mark, I would say. There are a lot of glitches. It takes more than a month if you want to start a LLP. Any questions? Anybody has a LLP here?
In starting, is it necessary to show the land, like separate land for business?
It depends on what kind of business you have. Most of the time, startups, I think you are all more on the intangibles. It's in your head, in your ideas, in your apps. Very few people, unless you have a lab or you have some a manufacturing setup, you may not require a land. Today, most of the time, you won't even require an office. Except for registration, it's all virtual office. So if you tell me what business you have in mind, then I can tell you whether you require the...
It's basically service.
So you don't require a land, right? So that's what I'm saying. Today people are sitting anywhere.
Yes.
You know, work from home you say, but even as founders, you can sit anywhere, you can connect and start off your service. Only thing for LLP and for company, because you have to register with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, you have to identify one physical space and say, this is my office. And this is the address, this is where the board is. And also for GST registration. Otherwise, land is not compulsory. It all depends on the requirement of the business.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah.
Ma'am, in LLP, you said that closure is time consuming.
Yeah.
So here, liquidation procedure take place?
No. See, liquidation means you have to be solvent. In the sense, you should have enough money to pay off all your creditors and also your, your employees, statutory dues, and also money for the insolvency professional. So we are not talking about that. Normally, LLP closure, what happens is we use a word called strike off. If you are defunct, that means you are not having any operations for a period of 1 or 2 years, then you voluntarily go to the government, to the registrar of companies and say that I no longer want to continue the business, I want to close it down.
So it is voluntarily, ma'am?
There it is voluntary. Okay. If you do not file your returns for 2 or 3 years, he can also give a notice and strike off. There are many companies which are actually subject to that. In fact, LLPs also, they have been getting notices and they have been struck off.
Thank you.
So that is for non-compliance. It's a punishment. So it can be from the registrar or it can be voluntary from the partners themselves.
Thank you, ma'am.
Comes to everyone, and I will be taxed for my accounts and so on. Is it correct, ma'am, or is it a demerit for me?
It is. Once you file, it becomes a public document.
There may be some advantages in it, ma'am, but if my profits are shown very clearly to the public, then how can I grow easily, ma'am?
No, what is your concern there?
Ma'am, here public disclosure is the main problem for LLPs,
yes.
ma'am. In that case, there may be some advantages for the company, but my profits are shown very clearly to the others, so that others may also grow now, ma'am.
Others cannot draw, no? How can they draw? They will only be aware that how you are doing. Your performance will become public. There are advantages to that, but maybe if you look at it from a competition side, it may not be advantageous. People know what you are making, but that's fine. Nobody can claim any share in that, no? Unless they are a partner, public cannot claim, right?
Okay.
They cannot claim. Okay, quickly we are moving to companies. And I have listed down what are the different types of companies. You have a one-person company, you have a private limited company, you have a public limited company, and a Section 8 company. Any of you have heard about Section 8 company? What is a Section 8 company? Good. Good. I think as a student community, all of you are aware, and I also see that the interest in this sector is really grown. A lot of youngsters want to spend their time for voluntary activities. So it could be a trust, it could be a society, but here we are looking at a private limited company, but there are certain restrictions. It can only look at doing not-for-profit activities, which means you can make profits, but you cannot distribute. As the shareholders, you cannot draw profit. And this sector is growing a lot, especially with the CSR activities which are going on, and there is a huge push for CSR. Today, if you see, if you want to follow that line, if you want to follow your heart and get into Section 8 companies, you can do, because social stock exchange also is coming up in a big way. So I'm not going to touch about that. I think where you have one-to-one mentoring session, if any of you are looking at starting up something with a not-for-profit motive, you must ask some questions relating to that. But today we'll just limit it to private limited company. One-person company. This can be started only by Indian citizens and NRIs. Foreigners are not allowed to start a one-person company. As the name goes, there's only one member. You're the only person who will be running the business, though you may have employees, you may have directors, which can go up to 15, but you are the person who will have to bring in the money. Again, that concept of investor coming in is not possible. Many times I feel because the cost is less, it is easier to start. I see entrepreneurs just starting off a one-person company without thinking through, do I need co-founders in future? Do I need money? Do I want to scale up? Without thinking through, they just start off. Initially, when this concept started, it was little difficult. There were certain thresholds only after reaching which you could convert, but today you can convert it into a private limited later. What are the merits, demerits? It's easy to start. Somebody mentioned here that they couldn't find the right co-founder. Let me tell you, finding a co-founder is as difficult or as significant as finding your life partner. Very, very, very important. Many times we find you have the idea, you have money, you have everything, but you don't find the co-founder. That is why I said the questions which I put up in my first slide, they are very important. Please discuss that with your potential co-partner and see whether there is an alignment. If you don't find a co-founder, it is all right. You can just continue as on your own as a single person. Take somebody as a consultant, take somebody as an employee. But co-founder is an animal, I would say, who has different kind of attributes. So please scout for a co-founder, and this group itself, I think somebody was mentioning in the morning before the session started. Why is it important that all of you are here? This platform can give you peer group, it can create that networking. You may find co-founders here, you may find customers, you may find vendors, you may find future employees, you may find future investors. So it's very important to network here. Co-founder could be anywhere, and there are many platforms today which is facilitating that. So no need to hunt for a co-founder. Now there is lesser compliance here compared to a private limited. It is eligible for DPIIT registration as a startup. Now founder's liability is limited. So if you see one of my earlier slides, I had clubbed proprietary concern and OPC together because it's a single owner. But the beauty here is the liability is limited to the capital that you have promised. Now there is business continuity. Somebody was mentioning about nomination. In a proprietary concern, it is not possible, but in OPC, it is possible. In fact, it is mandatory that you need to have and identify who will be a nominee. In case something happens to you, the nominee will have to take over. And because it's a small entity, the government also is looking at it more leniently and saying whatever penalty, for example, if there is a 50,000 penalty the company has to pay, if it is a OPC, it is only 50% of that. But still all the penalties, rules, regulations are applicable. Demerits, not being able to have a co-founder can also be a demerit. Do you agree? Because it's important. While you have the flexibility of starting off on your own, if you don't have a co-founder, because it's always when you collaborate with people, when you work in teams, that you are able to succeed better. So this could be a demerit. Scalability, because of this reason, various others will be limited due to membership restriction, because you are the only one. You can't raise funds. At best, you can take a loan. But nobody can come and invest, have equity. Investors will not come in, friends, family. Nobody can give you money as owner shares there. And a person cannot open more than one OPC. That is also to be kept in mind. You cannot carry on certain kind of activities, for example, NBFC activities. There are a lot of fintech companies. Many of you may be getting into apps which could fall in this non-banking financial company area. So RBI does not allow OPCs to start this. It cannot hold shares. So the OPC cannot invest also in any other company. Because it is small, it is less regulated, the government also has clipped its wings and said some things are not possible. Now, it cannot be formed or converted into Section 8 company. Those of you who are looking at a non-profit stream, you should not look at that. This is precisely the reason, once you are aware, you can weigh all your pros and cons and decide what kind of company or partnership firm that you will want to start. Any questions on OPC? Fine, I'll move on. Yeah. Yes. Earlier, there was a limit that you had to reach a certain share capital, certain threshold, but now they have eased that and said at any time. But let me tell you, converting from one form to another, there are costs involved, there is time involved, there is paperwork involved. When you start small, you will be having small budgets. So if you don't think through, you may think it's very easy to start a OPC, but then 6 months down the line, you see great opportunities. If you want to start, convert into a company, you must keep that there is a budget involved. Private limited company, all of you have heard of it. This is a traditional model and the most preferred one to start off. The law which governs private limited company is the Companies Act 2013. For several years in 1956 to 2013, there was a particular law. In 2013, lot of changes have come, which are, some of it are pro-startup businesses, which are specifically aimed to give you better access to capital, better access to facilities. Some of it are very stringent, and I do find that startup entrepreneurs feel very overwhelmed. They feel this is too much of compliances. I don't know, should I really be doing business? So you have to think through when you want to start a private limited company. Minimum 2 members are required. Maximum you can go up to 200. When I say members, it means shareholders. They will have to invest in the shares. So 2 to 200 is a maximum. If it goes beyond 200, it becomes a public limited company. Limited liability, yes, it is limited to the capital that you have. If you say, I am going to invest 1 lakh. So if you have not paid the 1 lakh, what happens at the time of closing this company, you will be asked to pay this money, not beyond that. So when you start the business, you know what are, within what is the risk framework in which I am starting, especially the financial risk. It is highly regulated. There are a lot of rules, regulations. When you start off, actually, within a month, you will realize there are so many things to do. So it is highly regulated. If you don't follow the rules, there are penalties. Sometimes criminal action also can be taken. Some provisions are where you will be imprisoned. Over a period of time, you must have been reading in the papers, decriminalization. Because they want to encourage more people to get into business, they are saying we will not put you into jail, but still pay the penalty. That is where you are not complying. Scaling up is easy because you can attract good investors, you can attract co-founders, you can attract employees, you can attract customers. So scaling up is easy in a private limited company. It is attractive for investment. Now, because this is already established, there are a lot of case laws, judgments which are there. So if there is any doubt on how some things will work out, you can always look at that. Established norms for valuation. So we have been talking about investors, right? If you start a business today, somebody comes 6 months or 1 year down the line. If you have started with 1 lakh, that business could have become 1 crore. Not in terms of the turnover, but how the value is perceived. There are rules for that, established rules. There are valuers who are there who will give a valuation report. Based on that, the investor will say, I value your business at 1 crore, I value it at 2 crores, at 10 crores. That's why you can see all these unicorns. It is not that they have that kind of a turnover or that kind of money in their books. But when the investor puts in the money, he values it accordingly and then he invests. So this is a very interesting concept. I'm sure you will have your mentoring sessions. I will not go further on that. But private limited company has this advantage. Last but not the least, it is eligible for DPIIT registration. What are the demerits? I have been harping about compliances quite a lot. There are quite a lot of disclosures. There are tech platforms for you to help, but there are professionals also who will help. If you don't do that, the law does not see whether you are an 18-year-old, you are a 21-year-old, or you are a 50-year-old entrepreneur. If you are responsible as a director to do something and your company doesn't do, there will be a penalty on the company. There will also be penalty on each of you as a director, which you have to pay from your... I'm not trying to scare you, but I just want you to be aware that it should not come as a shock later after you've started this. Cost is more, cost of compliance is increasing. You can borrow from banks, you can borrow from other companies, but be very careful. Suppose you fall short of funds. Don't say that there's a friend of mine who wants to give money. You cannot take from friends. There are certain procedures to be followed. Right? From family, you can take how you must take. So without professional advice, just because you're falling short of funds, if it is a partnership firm, if it's a proprietary concern, it's much easier. But in a private limited company, the base is large, you have access to resources, but all the procedures have to be followed. Winding up is also time consuming. There is a voluntary winding up where you go voluntarily to the company law tribunal and say, I want to wind up. But, or if you don't have business and you want to shut it down, please, for heaven's sake, once you start a company, don't leave it and say, I got a seat somewhere in, I got a better job, or I am going to pursue my education somewhere in some country, and you forget about your company. This is like your baby. You have to take care of it. Otherwise, make sure that the baby is taken care somewhere or it is completely closed. So there are procedures for that. It takes time, minimum of 2 years you have to wait and say, we are not doing any business, so we want to close this. Suppose you don't comply, you don't file your balance sheets, you don't file certain returns, the government themselves registrar will see for 3 years, then they will declare that you are a non-compliant and strike off. So all your business will doom if you do not comply with certain things. So you have to be careful when you start a company. I just want to bring in 2 concepts. It's very important. What is the concept of share capital? There is a concept, share capital means the capital which you put in your private limited company when you start or when you raise funds. There is a concept of authorized share capital. If you just see this piggy bank, there is a ceiling, right? There is a threshold. This is the maximum limit up to which you can raise the capital. What is paid up capital? It is the money which actually comes in. For example, I think there is one team here which has started a company. If they have started with an authorized share capital of say 15 lakhs, that means you are declaring to the public that I am capable of raising capital up to 15 lakhs, but initially I will just put in 10,000 or I'll put in 1 lakh, whatever it is. So once you reach that 15,000 limit, you have to increase that. There is a way to increase that. These concepts are important when you do fundraising. Yeah, paid up capital, I have strict procedures for raising capital. This concept is important for you. This concept, when I say governance is better, it is better regulated, there is transparency. I want you to understand when you start your business, you may be thinking only of your service, about your product, about your marketing, about how to get a co-founder. But when you actually start off as a company, this is how businesses are run. If you see who is the owner of the business, shareholders. In the stock market also, you may be having shares. You are not running the company. You have just put in money there and somebody is running the company. Who is that somebody? It is the board of directors. You as shareholders will be appointing the board of directors. They will be employing management. What is management? You will have CEO, you will have CTO, you will have COO, you have HR manager, finance manager. All of them will be in the management. Then they will run the business. So there is a clear distinction between ownership and control. This is a very important feature of a private limited company. And whatever profits come out of the business, you have a responsibility to either pay it back to the shareholders or continue to keep it in the business so that the business can scale up. This is also very important. How does that flow of power go? Starting with the shareholders, it goes to the board of directors, to the managing directors, then to the CXOs. This becomes relevant to you when you start scaling up. Because when you start, you will be doing everything. Right from opening the door of your office, opening the bank account. Sometimes you will make your own tea. You may also have to clean your office. You will do everything. But when you start scaling up, you will learn to delegate. Then you will have to be very clear who is responsible for what. For example, in your co-founders itself, one of you will take care of finance, one of you will take care of marketing, one of you will take care of production, one of you will take care of just recruitment. All the different functions of a company is done by different people, and this delegation of power is very, very important. Learn to delegate, learn to trust, but learn to create frameworks. When you want to trust, when you want to delegate, you must be first putting all the rules together. So this is very, very critical. think with this, I will stop because I have just covered the different types of entities. I covered sole proprietor, partnership, OPC, LLP, and private limited company. We'll just have a couple of slides now on how to incorporate a company. This will be a very quick one. After that, we'll take about 10 to 15 minutes on different kinds of licenses and registrations that you require. I know you are coming from a spectrum of sectors, different sectors. That's what I was told. So we'll just touch a few points. To take this session forward, I would request my colleague, Company Secretary Rajeshwari Pai, to come on to the stage and explain. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, ma'am. So firstly, congratulations to all the participants for stepping forward to commence their entrepreneurial journey. And kudos to FKCCI for creating a platform for grooming entrepreneurs and acting as a facilitator to build the nation. Congratulations to all. So now that you have got a fair idea about what kind of entities exist in the market, I'll try to explain you about the process involved in the incorporation of company and also give you an overview of some of the licenses, sector-specific licenses. As you are already having a sector-specific mentoring session tomorrow, I'll not be going into detail. I'll just give you an overview of the same. So when it comes to incorporation of a company, at the initial stage, we'll have a preliminary discussion with the founders, understanding what business or what product or service they are going to launch. And as ma'am suggested earlier, it is always advisable to have a founders agreement. It will lay down certain key aspects such as your rights and responsibilities, confidentiality aspects, and another important thing is non-compete clause, which will protect you when your co-founder intends to start a competitive business in the same line. Next is, so company incorporation is through the MCA, that is Ministry of Corporate Portal. And with the ease of doing business concept, everything is online. So the name application will be submitted through the MCA portal. A prerequisite as the forms are being submitted online is a digital signature certificate. It's like a USB token key which will be used for filing forms online. Another concept is director identification number. So when you become the directors in a company, you will be allotted with a unique number called the director identification number. So this number, irrespective of the multiple directorships that you may hold in different companies, the number remains the same. Then we will be involved in the drafting of charter documents, that is the Memorandum of Association and Articles of Association. So the MOA will determine the main objects of your business and ancillary or supporting clauses that will help you to achieve your main objects. And Articles of Association are mainly for internal or management, that is among the directors. Next aspect is registered office. So as ma'am suggested earlier, it need not necessarily be the place of business that you are carrying, but the Act requires you to have a proper place of registered office where you can receive all kinds of communications, including notices from the different government departments. And so when you have identified all these aspects, we will be filing incorporation forms on the MCA portal, post which you will be issued the certificate of incorporation. Again, as a part of ease of doing business initiative of the government, certain facilities have been added on. PAN and TAN will get issued, along with other registrations such as Employee Provident Fund, Employee State Insurance, Professional Tax Registration, Shops and Establishment Registrations. So with this, your cost of applying separately for these registrations post-incorporation will reduce. Any questions? So next, we'll be seeing certain business and tax registrations. These are not sector specific but common for any kind of business. So first you have the Shops and Establishment Act. So again, this procedures will vary from state to state, but if you are having any kind of commercial establishment, including a warehouse where you store your goods, you will require to obtain this Shops and Establishment registration. We have provided the link for Karnataka Shops and Establishment registration as well. Moving on to professional tax. So this is something where you have employees earning more than, I think, 15,000. You'll have to pay a certain tax to the government. But the employer himself will deduct this and pay it on your behalf to the government. And for this, he needs to, your employer, that is, as a company, you'll have to obtain professional tax registration. Next is goods and services tax. This again based on the threshold limits of your turnover, that is 40 lakhs and 20 lakhs for certain states. You'll have to obtain this for sale of goods and services. Import and export code, as the name suggests, for importing and exporting any kind of goods or services, except those which are meant for personal use, you'll have to obtain the import and export code license. And it's a lifetime, it's a code having lifetime validity. Next is, of course, you all must be aware of Startup India registration and the added advantages of having a Startup India registration. And lastly, MSME registration. So this again is an initiative of the government to encourage industries to come forward. So based on your investment and investment in plant and machinery and your turnover, you will be categorized as micro, small and medium. And the advantages is that you have a lot of schemes from the government itself for promoting MSMEs, such as cluster development programs. If you open the MSME website, you will come across a lot of schemes that will help you to grow, including financing. And if you have any grievances with your customers who are not paying you in time, that is beyond 45 days from the date of acceptance of goods or services, you can take the help of this website, which provides a specific segment called Samadhan, if I am not wrong, MSME Samadhan. You can access that facility and get your disputes resolved. So most of these registrations are online, making it easier for you to obtain it post incorporation. Now I'll be giving you an overview of some certain mandatory licenses for operating in certain sectors. So first we have food and beverages sector. So how many of you are launching your products or services in the food sector? Great, quite a few. So the main license is FKCCI license, that is Food Safety Standards Authority of India will issue this license. Food here has got wider scope. So it's not just something that we consume, but also the substances which are used for manufacturing any food item, including water. So this is required to carry on any kind of food business. Validity period will vary from 1 to 5 years as may be opted by the applicant. And single license for different food articles that may be sold in the same area through through different establishments in the same area. Another is liquor license. So this again is the licensing and procedures will vary from state to state and is required for each brand of alcohol. If you are not just meant for distribution, but if you have a concept of a restaurant or something, you will again need to procure this. Some of the other licenses that are required to operate in the food industry. So this may sound very traditional, but if you are coming out with some innovative concepts for improving the existing concept of restaurants, then you will, for operating any kind of restaurant, or if you are coming with a new concept, you will require this eating habit license from the Commissioner of Police. Next is fire safety license from the fire department. Environment clearance license from the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And lastly, the signage license for when you are distributing pamphlets or putting up signage boards for promotional activities, you will require permissions. Next, we move on to one of the crucial sectors, that is agricultural. We know that many other sectors are dependent on this sector, and it is one of the sectors that continues to contribute about 14 to 18% of the GDP. So how many of you are into agricultural products? Good. So to begin with, I would like to say that FKCCI is one license which is common or interlapping with many other sectors such as food, agricultural and including health. I'll come to that. So here I have listed a few registrations that would be required. If you are coming out with vegetable oils, then you would require to obtain registration under the Vegetable Oil Products Control Order. Coming out with fertilizers, then Fertilizer Control Order. And if you are going to export certain products, then you would have to obtain registration from Agricultural and Processed Food Products Export Development Authority, known as APIDA. So this registration again has got lifetime validity. Some of the products which require this license to be obtained is fruits, vegetables or their products, cashew nuts and other dairy products. And FSSAI, as I said, for distribution of agricultural products. So we see a lot of organic products coming into the market. So this again is relevant for that. And Agricultural Produce Grading and Marking Act. So we might have come across AgMark certification on various products. So there are different rules for different products such as rice, pulses, pepper, honey, etc. And it indicates that the product has passed through a certain standard and helps you to gain the trust of customers. Next important sector is health sector. Past 2 years have made us realize how vital this sector is for the economy to function. And few of the mandatory licenses are the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So drugs again is a wider term. Here it not only means some medicines that we consume, but also substances that are used for producing medicines, medical devices, and also products that are meant for application on animals or preventing diseases like insect repellents or products like that. And cosmetics, of course, for application on parts of human body. And other branches of medicine such as Ayurvedic and homeopathy, there are separate provisions under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act for the same. Central Drug Standard Control Organization is from whom you will have to obtain the license for launching any product in the drugs and cosmetic industry. So though it's a central organization, even the previous slides, all these central organizations have set up the officers at the state level for you to, for facilitating the obtaining of licenses. And FSSAI, if you are coming out with health supplements, we have seen that a lot of immunity boosters and iron supplements and vitamin supplements are being released. So even for manufacturing and distributing such kind of products, you will have to obtain FSSAI license. And last but not the least, we have the tech space or technology sector, which is most popular among the startups. And few of them are for fintech registrations. So if you are into providing loans or acting as payment gateways, then you will fall into the fintech category, for which you will have to obtain registration from the RBI. And you have market research companies which will use certain technology, study the market and provide investment advisory services. So they will have to register with Securities Exchange Board of India. So there are specific guidelines within the RBI and SEBI for regulating these kind of entities. Then when you are launching apps, you have different policies for launching it on Android and iOS. Android, I think it's less governed than iOS, because iOS, for launching an app, you require approval from their team. And exporting software. So technology sector contributes almost 50, technology, not just technology, service sector in general contributes almost 50 to 55% of the GDP. And also in export, it's one of the leading sectors. So for exporting software, there are certain registrations to be obtained. One is SoftTech registration with RBI, a number will be allotted. And then you will have to obtain non-STPI registration with STPI, that is Software Technology Parks of India. And that license will be valid for 3 years. And lastly, certificate from Telecommunication Engineering Center if you are coming out with communication, any kind of telecommunication devices. Again, it will be set up at various state levels for facilitating the obtaining of license. So we have covered almost all the sectors. Any questions? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Founders agreement. So it will have certain key aspects written down such as your rights and responsibilities as founders towards the organization, your way of managing the internal operations, and employment-related terms, confidentiality clauses. Non-compete is what I highlighted because often what happens, you start as co-founders, but after a certain point of time, your co-founder may want to start another business in the same line. So what are the requirements before he gets into it, or what are the consequences if your co-founder starts such business without letting you know? Then those kind of things will be laid down in the co-founders agreement.
Not required that the government wants you to set up and have a founders agreement and only then start a company. It is optional, but like I told you, there are several benefits. So it is the same thing. She has started with that because normally we advise, founders when they come to us, not just to start with company incorporation, but take time to think on some of those questions. What other thing happens also is this founders agreement, when you draft a founders agreement, all the key clauses which you have agreed on several parameters, that will also become part of a charter document. She mentioned 2 documents. One was AOA, that is the Articles of Association, because that actually helps you to decide internally how you are administering your company, what is the relationship between the shareholders, amongst the shareholders, with the company. So all these things, whatever you have decided, will also become part of this. So when you start raising funds, you will have different kinds of agreements, investor agreements. Each investor who comes wants certain rights. They have certain obligations. They have certain expectations from you. So the founders agreement, which was some basic thing that you had as 2 or 3 founders, will be different. This will override everything else. So at every stage, there is going to be a brush with compliance, with legal, but after 2 or 3 years, all of you will become experts, and I think you all can come and teach us. That's what I have seen, because entrepreneurs become really, because you have a business sense which we lack. And that's what makes you more matured, and that's the, what you give to other entrepreneurs also. So you will learn it. It is not difficult. It is just a question of being aware and where to get that service. That's all. No, that is not for launching. It is wherever you have exports. If you are exporting a software, you will have to report.
Okay, what if we have payment gateways in there? Therefore, that in our application, if we are integrating the payment gateways, like Razorpay or something, for that also, do we have to have
No.
license?
There will be some obligations for Razorpay itself, but not for, you are only a user of Razorpay, right?
Yeah.
So you will not have for that. Unless you are into some fintech business, you are using Razorpay, but you are into some fintech business, and if you are registered, like she mentioned about 2-3 authorities, one was RBI, one was NBFC, which is again with RBI, the other one was SEBI. Each one, wherever you have a registration, the moment you are registered with the government authority, they'll ask you to expect you to do certain things and keep informing them. That's what is called filing of returns. So you will have to look at specific, and please raise some of these topics with your sector specific. If you get domain experts, mentors, please take advantage. Why I'm saying this, I'm a mentor with NSRCL, with IIM Bangalore, and I know people have very specific questions, or many times you will not have the question. I feel it's the responsibility of the mentor to make you think on that and throw some light on some of the new things. But you can ask them.
Thank you.
Any of you have more questions for Sharda, please put it on the email. I'm sure Sharda will be happy to answer any and all of your questions in full detail. Yes, thank you.